Okay, so let's start by looking at your star chart that I just handed you. So if you look at this, the only thing we've even touched learning at all is what? Linear equations. And the things that we have explored under linear equations, start at the bottom of it. Have we learned the slope of a line, the slope formula? Yes. Okay, point slope form. This is what we're learning today. Okay, go to the next one. Have we learned slope intercept form? Yes. And have we learned standard form a little bit? Yes. We haven't completely explored it, but we have touched the topic of it before. So we're almost finished with the equations from linear equations. Again, today we're going to talk about point slope form. So I just kind of wanted to get this to you guys so you could see that these formulas and these equations are on the star chart and you don't have to memorize them. Okay, but everything in this section, when you graph it, is going to make what? What are these going to make? Look at the first word. What is the first word? What are these going to make when I graph them? A straight line. So everything here has to do with straight lines when we graph them, okay? All right, so go to your notes. The title of today's lesson is Writing a Linear Equation in Point Slope Form. So I want you to take your star chart, find point slope form, and write down the equation. So right here, you're going to write point slope form, this equation, right here in that box up at the top. All right, I want you to highlight the Y1 one color. The Y1 is the opposite of the Y coordinate. And I will explain what all of this means in just a second. The Y1 is the opposite. What's the opposite? Like basically positive 1, what's the opposite of positive 1? Negative 1. Okay, and the reason it's opposite, look what's in front of it. A minus sign. Okay, highlight the M another color. What do y'all think the M is? You already know this. The slope. So the M is the slope. Okay, and then what do y'all think the X1 is? The opposite of the X coordinate. So, this equation is just like the name of the equation sounds. The equation is called point slope. So in this equation, you can see the slope and you can see one point, which is a coordinate. Yes? And that's all this equation is. It's not slope-intercept, because in slope-intercept, you can see the slope and the y-intercept. And this equation, again, you can see the slope and a coordinate that falls on the line. Got it? All right, let's write an equation in point slope form if they give us a point and a slope. So everybody agrees this is a point, right? We call it a coordinate. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to plug this in for the x, this in for the y, and this in for the m. But we're going to make it look like this. Okay, so we're going to follow this format. So I'm going to write y minus. Now look at the three things I highlighted. Those are the three things that you're filling these numbers in for. Okay, so I'm going to write y minus. And what am I going to write in this spot right here? The coordinate of the y value, but it's the opposite. So everybody find the y value. What is the opposite of negative 3? Positive 3. So that's what you're going to write as plus 3. And I'm going to explain why. Okay? So I want y'all to write it. If I put y minus and then I put negative 3, what does that become? Positive if I keep change. So that's the reason. So we'll write it like this and then we'll go fix it. Okay? Equals, what am I going to put in the m spot? 2, open parentheses, x minus, what is the x coordinate? 4. Okay, and then we're going to simplify this, and we would say, hey, right here, you would change. And my equation would be y plus 3 equals 2x minus 4. And then you can go back and check that you did it correctly by asking yourself if the values match. Okay, let's... Thank you. Okay, let's go check. This should be the opposite of the y value, yes? So everybody look at the y value. Is it the opposite? Yes, okay. This should be the m value. Is that the m? Yes, this should be the opposite of the x value. Is it the opposite? So you got it correct. So that's how you check it. And you can literally highlight those pieces and see if they match. Okay, all right, y'all want to try this one on your own? All right, go try it. Okay, let's see how you did. You should have written y minus, and then right here, I'm going to put the y1 value, which is 1, equals, right here, I'm going to put the m, which is 3, open parentheses, x minus, and here I'm going to put the x value, which is negative 3. Okay, then I'm going to simplify. Y minus 1 equals 3x plus 3. And I'm going to ask myself if I got them right. So right here, this should be the opposite of the y value. Is negative 1 the opposite of 1? Yes, okay. Right here, I should have written the slope. Is the slope 3? Yes. And then lastly, I should have written the opposite of the x value. I have positive 3. The x value is negative 3. Did I get it right? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, how do y'all feel about that? Easy? Okay, the biggest things is that you remember it's the opposite. Okay, so you can't write the same value. All right, now we're going to learn how to graph if the equation is given to us in point-slope form. So you can look at this and see that it's in point-slope form, yes? All right, what do we need to graph? We need a slope. We either need like 2 coordinates, we need a slope and a y-intercept, or we need a point and a slope. Can I start with any point and then start rising and running? Yes, okay. So we need a slope. Can you see the slope here? Does everybody see it right there? What's the slope? 2 over 3. What does that mean for my rise and my run? Which direction am I going to rise and run? Up 2 and right 3. Which other ways could I go? Down and left. Okay. Now I need somewhere to start. Since I don't have a y-intercept, I can start at any point. So I need to pull a point out of this equation. So right here, this is going to be the opposite of the x value. And this is going to be the opposite of the y value. So I need to write a coordinate out of that. So this is the x. What is the opposite of minus 3? Positive 3. This is the y value, but it's the opposite. What is the opposite of plus 2? Negative 2. And there is my coordinate that I can start with. So you're just going to go graph the point. So I'm going to go to 3, negative 2, put a dot. And then I'm going to rise up to right 3. And then y'all said earlier I also could go down to left 3. And right here I just found my y-intercept, didn't I? So down 2, left 3. And I could keep going all the way across the graph, or I could stop. And then I connect my dots with my straight edge. All right, how do y'all feel about it? Pretty good? Y'all try the next one on your own. So you need to identify the slope as a rise over run and identify the coordinate that they gave you. Check your slope and your point with mine once you've identified them. Then go graph it. It's the opposite. Remember, it's always the opposite for the coordinate. All right, how did we do? Check your graph with mine. Make sure that your dots are in the correct place. Are we good? Okay, turn the page. Now they're going to have given us a graph, and they want us to write an equation from the graph in point-slope form. Okay, so to write an equation in point-slope form, I don't need an M and a B. What do I need? An M and a coordinate. So I need an M, and I need an X and a Y. How many coordinates did they give you? Could you use either one? Yes, you get to pick. So on your assignment today, if they have two coordinates, you will only write one of them, and on my answer key, I will have both options. Okay? All right, so what is the slope? How do I find slope? Okay, that's one way to find slope. That's slope-intercept equation. How do I find slope? Rise over run. Which one do y'all think is easier to do in this situation? Probably rise over run. So right here, right, to find the slope, I'm going to do rise over run. So my rise is 2. Yes? What is my run? Okay, but my rise was up 2, my run was left 2. So negative. So negative 2 over 2 is what? Negative 1. And you can also see, was there a dot right here? So they're actually going up 1, left 1, up 1, left 1, up 1, left 1. See what I'm saying? Okay. Now we need a coordinate. Which one of these do y'all want to use? You pick. 1 and 1? All right, highlight it because that's the one we're going to use. So my coordinate, I'm going to write down, my coordinate is 1, 1. So now I have my slope and I have a coordinate. So what I want y'all to do is write down the equation form from your star chart. Write down the point slope form. So y minus, somebody tell me, y1 equals, no, give me the basic form. M, open parentheses, x minus x1. Okay, highlight the pieces that you need to fill in. I need to fill in the m, which I have right here. I need to fill in the y value, but it's going to be the opposite of this y value. And I need to fill in the x value, but it's going to be the opposite of that x value. All right, y'all want to try writing it on your own? And then check your equation with mine. Okay, let's check what we did. Here should be my m is my slope, -1. Yes or no? Yes, okay. This should be the opposite of the y coordinate. So go to the y coordinate. It was +1. Do I have the opposite of +1? Yes. This should be the opposite of the x coordinate. My x coordinate was +1. Is that the opposite? Yes. All right, let's go do one more. And again, to write an equation in point slope form, I don't need an m and a b. I need an m and a what? And a coordinate, an x and a y. Which one of these coordinates do you want to use? This one? All right, I'm going to highlight it because this is the one we're going to use. I'm going to write it down, -1, 3. I also need to find the slope. How am I going to find the slope? Rise over run. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to go up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's my rise is +6. My run is left 3. So what does left 3 mean? What is 6 divided by -3 simplified to? -2. I'm going to write the equation form. So y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. And then I want y'all to go plug them in. With the point we picked -1, 3. Go fill it in. Okay, I did it, but I have not simplified it. So the equation says y minus the y value. So y minus, what's the y value? 3 equals m. Oh, I forgot to put my m. Equals -2. X minus the x value, which is -1. Now I go simplify it. So I have y minus 3 equals -2 x plus 1. Why? Because I change. And then I ask myself, is this the opposite of the y value? -3 and 3, yes. Is this the slope? Yes. Is this the opposite of the x value? Yes. All right, so that's my answer simplified. Any questions? All right, moving on. Can I write an equation in point-slope form given 2 points and not a slope? Yeah, I still need a slope and a point. So what am I going to have to solve for? The slope. You could use stat, or you could use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which I think is easier and faster. So right here, I need an m. Again, I do not need a b today because I'm not doing slope-intercept. I need a point, which they already gave me 2 points, so I'll just pick one of those. But to find the slope, I'm going to have to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We could probably do this in our heads. What's 12 minus 2? 10. What's 2 minus 7? Negative 5. What's 10 divided by negative 5? Negative 2. And if you can't do it, then put it in your calculator, right? Yes or no? Are y'all good? All right. Which one of these points do you want to use, and does it even matter which one you pick? No, you just pick one. So which one do y'all want to use? 7, 2. I'm going to highlight it so we know that's the one we're picking, and I'm going to write it right here, 7, 2. Now I have to follow the formula. So I'm going to do y minus the y value. What is the y value? 2. Equals m, what's our m? Negative 2, open parentheses, x minus the x value, which is 7. Do I need to simplify anything here? No. I'm going to check myself, though, and I'm going to say, is this the opposite of the y value? Yes. Is my slope the same? Yes. Is this the opposite of the x value? Yes. Easy? All right, let's do the next one. I need an m and a point. How do I find slope? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm not going to do this in my head because there's too many negatives. So I'm going to go to my calculator. I'm going to type in negative 7 minus negative 1 over 6 minus negative 4. What is the slope? Anybody? Negative 3/5. All right, which coordinate do y'all want to use? The first one, negative 4, negative 1. All right. So I'm going to write that right here. I'm going to use negative 4, negative 1 as my coordinate. All right, so here we go. I need y minus the y value. What is the y value? So what is a y minus a negative? So y plus 1. I'm skipping a step. Are y'all okay with that? Okay, equals my slope, which is negative 3/5, x minus a negative 4. When I have a minus negative, it becomes a okay, check yourself and ask yourself if you did it right. Is this the opposite of the y value? I'm covering it up. Yes. Is my slope the same? Yes. Is this the opposite of the x value? Yes. All right, try the last one on your own. You need the slope first. Let's go ahead and pick our coordinate so it's all the same. Which coordinate do y'all want to do? 436 because they're both positive? Okay. Okay, check your answer with mine. Are there any questions? Y'all got it? Okay, the last thing we're going to talk about is how do you know if something's linear if it's not on a graph? If it's on a graph, you clearly just look, is it a straight line or not, right? So what if they give you a table and they say, hey, is this linear? Could you just go graph it and see if it makes a straight line? Yeah. Or what you could do is see if the slopes are the same. So here's the deal. To be linear, the slope has to be the same from point to point. The rise over run, it has to be the same. Okay? So what you would do is you would solve for the slope of these two. Then you would solve for the slope of the next two. Then the next two, and see if they're the same. With these you can do in your head. What is the difference in the y's? What's 350 minus 250? 100 over, what's 6 minus 4? What's 100 divided by 2? So 50. So these have a slope of 50. So if this is linear, the whole table has to give you what? 50. All right, so I'm going to do the next two with these. What's 450 minus 350? 100. What's 8 minus 2? What's 8 minus 6? 2. Is that also 50? Okay. Then these have to also give us 50. What's 550 minus 450? 100. What's 10 minus 8? 2. Is that 50? Yes. Okay, and let's check the very last one. 650 minus 550 is 100. 12 minus 10 is 2. And 100 over 2 is 50. So did I get the same slope for the whole table? That means if I was to graph it, it would be a straight line. It would be linear. So it says, can the data in the tables be modeled by a linear equation? If so, write the equation in point-slope form. So the answer is yes, it can be modeled by a linear equation. So can the data be modeled by a linear equation? Yes. Why? Because it has the same slope for the whole table. Then it says, what is the rate of change? What does rate of change really mean? Slope. So what was it? 50. Then it says, if it is, write it in point-slope form. Did it say slope-intercept? Point-slope. So you pick a point. What point do y'all want to use? 250. So I'm going to use this point, and here's my slope. All right, so I have y minus, what's the y value? 250 equals m, which is 50, x minus the x value, which is 4. And there's my equation in point-slope form. All right, same question on this next one. Can this table be modeled by a linear equation? So how do I know if the slopes for the whole table are the... So, okay, I'm going to do this point first. What is 5 minus negative 1? 5 minus negative 1 would be change. It would be positive 6 over what's 4 minus 2? 2. What's 6 divided by 2? All right, so if this is linear, the whole table better have a slope of 3. Let's try the next one. What's 15 minus 5? 10. What's 6 minus 4? What's 10 divided by 2? Can I stop? Why? The slopes are not the... So if it says find the rate of change, there's not a constant rate of change. 1 was 3, 1 was fine, so there is no constant rate. Can the data be modeled by a linear equation? Yes or no? No. Why? They had different slopes or different rates, however you want to say it. If constant right in point slope form, I can't do it. It's not applicable. So I put NA. All right, just make sure on this assignment that you follow the directions. What does 1 through 6 ask you to do? All it says is find the slope. I have given you 2 ways to find slope, right? What 2 ways have I taught you from coordinates? I just taught you 1 yesterday. Stat or y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. If you use stat, it's going to give you your answer as a decimal. If you use slope formula, it's going to give you your answer as a fraction. I have both answers written down. If you do stat, do not round. Put the full answer. Okay? All right. On 7 through 12, it says write an equation in point slope form. I'm telling y'all right now, If you put it in slope-intercept form, every question will be wrong. That is not what we are learning. You'll understand. It must be in y minus y1 equals mx minus x1 form. Okay, at the bottom, it wants you to graph the equation. They gave you the equation in point-slope form, so you need to identify the slope. So what's the slope of number 13? 2. And you're going to identify the coordinate that they gave you. They gave you the opposite of the x value, so what's the opposite of negative 1? And what's the opposite of negative 4? Positive 4. Okay, I'm going to leave out 19 through 21, so just cross that out. And then 22 through 27 says write an equation of the line shown, and I want it in point-slope form. Again, if you put it in mx plus b form, I am counting it wrong. So to write it in point-slope form, you need an m and a coordinate. They gave you 2 coordinates, so I will have both answers. You pick which coordinate you want to use, okay?